Hello, this is Rogers Redding, National Coordinator of Football Officials. I'd like to welcome you to another in our series of videos specifically designed for the media and the fans. We've got another bunch of good plays for you. I think you'll enjoy these. We've got a good pylon play. Those are always interesting. We've got a kind of an unusual intentional grounding play, which I think will be of interest to you. Also, we've got probably the strangest fumble play I've ever seen in my life, so I hope you'll enjoy that one. I won't mention them all, but I think you'll get something out of each one of these plays. I certainly appreciate the feedback that we've gotten on these videos, and I hope you'll continue to let me know of suggestions you might have for plays to be used. So now let's get right to the plays. Among the most difficult plays that we see in a football game are those involving forward passes, where the question becomes whether or not the player going to the ground has completed the process of the catch. Here's a good one that we have from a recent game where the ruling on the field is that the player controlled the pass in the end zone for a touchdown. And the question becomes whether or not he actually completed the process of the catch. What you can see is that he goes into the air, possesses the ball, comes to the ground in the end zone, takes a couple of steps with full control of the ball, then falls out of bounds and loses the ball. This is correctly ruled a completed pass and a touchdown because he has completed the process of the catch before he loses the ball. That is, he does something common to the game. He has the ball in his possession, takes a couple of steps, goes out of bounds, goes to the ground, and then the ball comes out. But by the time he goes out of bounds and hits the ground, he has already completed the process of the catch in the end zone, and this is correctly ruled a touchdown. This went to replay and was confirmed by the replay official. We get a good call for targeting where the player makes forcible contact with the crown of the helmet. It's fairly unusual to see a crown of the helmet play. Mostly we see targeting with regard to a defenseless player, but that's not the case here. The fact is that the defender launches and drives the top of his headgear, the crown of the helmet, into the opponent, and that constitutes targeting with the crown of the helmet. So this is a good call, and we get a good description by the TV people.
Well, Dave, there was no hesitation on the field, and you believe this call against Muse is going to stand up based on what you see?
I believe it's going to be confirmed. I mean, he's not defenseless, but it does not matter. He hits him with the crown of the helmet. This is going to be confirmed.
This is a rather unusual play, but it illustrates a point about intentional grounding. You'll see that the quarterback hands the ball off, and then he gets the ball back again, drops back to pass, and actually gets outside the tackle box when he throws the ball away beyond the line of scrimmage. This is correctly ruled as intentional grounding because only if the quarterback keeps possession of the ball the whole time is he protected and allowed to legally ground the ball by going outside the tackle box. But in this case, the quarterback gives the ball up and then gets it back. And in that case, it doesn't matter where he throws the ball from. If there's no receiver in the area, then this is intentional grounding. So this is an exception to the rule because if he keeps the ball and does exactly what he does in this play in terms of where he throws the pass, that would not be intentional grounding. But because he relinquished possession to another player and then got the ball back, he is not protected and is not legally allowed to ground the ball. So good job by the referee to recognize this. It seems like we're having more and more tight plays at the pylon where a ball carrier is headed toward the pylon to score a touchdown, and the question becomes whether or not he actually scores the touchdown. Here's a great example of one that I want you to look at. You'll see that the ball carrier approaches the pylon, dives to try to make the touchdown. The ball is punched out, and the field judge has an excellent call to spot him inside the 1 yard line. This ruling goes to replay, of course, and it is sustained, and so good work by the field judge, good work by the replay officials to get this very, very tight play at the goal line. I also like to commend the announcer and the analyst here because they describe this very, very well and display a good knowledge of the rules about the pylon.
I think that ball was actually punched out before it penetrated that pylon. You just have to get past the pylon, and I'm not sure that there's enough evidence there to overturn it.
Here we have a nice example of offensive pass interference. You'll see that the split end to the left side is the one that commits the foul. He moves into the defensive secondary, blocks down on the defender, and drives him back to create space so that the receiver coming in behind him can catch a pass. There's no question about this being offensive pass interference. We also get a good description from the announcer and the analyst who recognize the offensive pass interference even before the referee makes his announcement.
You look at the man on the top of the bunch. He doesn't run a route. He just blocks the guy right over the top of him, allowing for that pick play to occur.
Pass interference. Offense, number 48. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. Remains third down.
I put this play on here because it's in the category of if you live long enough, you'll see everything. This has to be the most unusual fumble play I've ever seen. You can only tell what really happens here on the slow motion, close-up portion of the play. What you're going to see is as the ball carrier goes airborne, he loses possession of the ball, and then while he's still airborne, he reaches out and pulls it into him again, and then hits the ground and the ball comes out. Understandably, the ruling is that the ball carrier is down because of making contact with the ground with something besides a hand or a foot. However, what really happens is this. When he loses possession of the ball midair, that is a fumble. And in order for him to be ruled down when his elbow hits the ground, he must effectively complete the process of the catch because he must recover his own fumble. Another way to think about this is that the rules for recovering a fumble are exactly the same as the rules for catching a pass when it comes to maintaining possession throughout the process. But he doesn't do this. That is, he does not maintain possession throughout the process. Because he doesn't complete the process of the catch and the ball comes out, this is still the same fumble. In other words, the status of the ball has never changed from when he fumbled it in midair, and so this is all one fumble. For him to be ruled down when he makes contact with the ground, he has to retain control throughout the process, and he doesn't do that. So the ball should belong to the defense when they recover it. On this play, we see that the ball carrier begins to strut his stuff before he reaches the end zone. He correctly draws a flag for unsportsmanlike conduct, and this cost him a touchdown. Now, for a long time, this was a live ball foul treated as a dead ball foul. In other words, the touchdown would count, and then there would be this sort of meaningless 15-yard penalty on the extra point or the kickoff. But several years ago, the Rules Committee changed this so that if the foul clearly takes place before the ball carrier gets into the end zone, it is a live ball foul, just like clipping or holding or anything else, and the penalty is enforced from the spot of the foul. That's what happens here, correctly called. Now, certainly for his sake, it's too bad that the player made the choice that he did because it cost his team a touchdown.
Unsportsmanlike conduct. Number 25, the offense. The 15-yard penalty being enforced from the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
Well, that's it for this week. Hope you enjoyed these plays. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with some more. Thanks very much for watching and have great games this weekend.